Today's guest went from a small town with a dream at young age to ride and work with horses abroad. She decided her junior year in high school that she would go to Belgium for a year after she graduated and has been back and forth since then. So far, her story is one of the most unique ones I've heard so far. Jori, thank you for being here with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for the awesome introduction.
Woo woo. I mean, it'll be more awesome once I know you better. So, I mean, I've heard a little bit of your story so far, and I think you're pretty good at describing it. So, I would like just to go kind of from the beginning of where it all started.
Okay, I guess my parents like to blame each other for the beginning because my dad, of course, bought me a horse, but my mom took me to Europe as a kid. So, whose fault is it really, I guess, where it all started. I just always enjoyed horses, always really enjoyed traveling and being in new places. I genuinely enjoy being uncomfortable, and I thought, why not go and give it a shot. I met someone who had worked for a trainer in Europe, and I kind of just didn't really believe it was possible. And then I decided I would go and try it out myself. And, I thought it would only be a year-long trip or something before the next adventure. And of course, now we're 10 years later. And I'm still here, so that was kind of the start, I guess, just the inspiration. Yeah.
So, you had your mother taking you to Europe. Your father bought you a horse, or did I swap?
Well, yeah. I mean, they did it together. Both of them, supported the horses and the Europe together. They like to blame each other.
Okay. And then you said you had a friend. I guess I didn't know that. So you knew somebody that had done it before, which kind of gave you your inspiration?
Yeah, she's not really a friend. She was just an acquaintance. She told me that she had worked for this rider in Belgium, and I'm from a really small town, and I thought there's no way that you can do that. That's not possible. Like, small town people don't go to Europe and work for Olympic riders. And I was very naive, obviously, at that time. And I thought, heck, what can it hurt? I'll just send her an email, I guess, to this rider in Belgium and ask if I can come. I didn't know anything about traveling or working abroad or how it would go, and she accepted my invitation, or my offer, I guess, to work for her immediately, and told me that I was very welcome. She recommended that I stay for a year to really get a hang of everything, and that was kind of how it started, I guess. It wasn't really from that other girl. I reached out myself. I made the effort to start with it, and then she accepted me, and then I just came. That's it. Not really much of a plan or anything beyond that.
That blows me away because being at such a young age, I think it takes a lot of faith to take some sort of step like that. I mean, faith and maybe a low ego, right? Because, if you've never done something like that before, maybe being young, fear of rejection is a real thing. I mean, even being an adult, fear of rejection is a real thing, and people will not take a step because they don't want people to tell them no, right? So I think that's pretty cool that you just messaged her. Like, were you afraid that she would say no, or did that not even cross your mind?
Well, yeah, of course I was afraid she could say no, but on the other hand, okay, if she says no, then I didn't really think it was possible anyways. But I can still remember the day that I got the email back. It only took her a day or two to respond to me also. And I remember falling to the floor in our house crying, and my parents were crying. We were all like, what is this crazy opportunity? We were so excited. And it was like something so huge and unexpected. And at that point, there wasn't really a time for fear because the excitement, really took over. That was for sure a bigger element than being afraid of being rejected. That only came once I, went to get on the plane and come over here, that I think I started to think like, oh gosh, what am I going to do?
What did I get into? Well, so you didn't have that fear of rejection, and I want to get into how you felt before you were going. But I mean, you were accepted pretty quickly. And then were you like, okay, now what the heck am I gonna do? Because like you said you had no idea what you were gonna do. It seems like you didn't know the next steps. I mean, it sounds like maybe you had a passport. You're like, okay, so I can go abroad. I have a passport. But like, did you think about money? How are you gonna live there with like financially? How are you gonna stay there? Like, I don't know, culturally, did you speak the language before? Like what was going through your mind?
Um, I guess I have to be honest that I have a lot of family in Holland, in the Netherlands,
Mm-hmm.
so, which is borders with Belgium, right? So I think that, of course, offers a little bit of comfort level for me and also to my parents at that time because I was only, 17 or 18 when I left. So that helped to have that kind of comfort element, even though they were a few hours away. At least they were in the neighborhood, not across.
Mm-hmm.
And then the money part was basically that, because then we communicated via email with the provider that the agreement is, you work there, you get, a place to stay, you get some food, there was no income, but you also got a lesson every week. And so that was kind of the payment in its own odd way. And which is all I really needed, I guess. As long as you had a place to stay and some food to eat, then everything was basically covered and I didn't really need anything else at that time. And she answered my email in English and she was an international rider, so I assumed that the English would be enough, I guess, and everything else would just kind of
Mm-hmm.
learn as you go. Yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah, I think being so young, not having, maybe lots of work experience, living off of parents, I think it's easy to accept, um, you know, food and housing, right? I know for a lot of adults now, it's like, I need to make money, I need savings, I have bills to pay, maybe they have kids, but it is kind of wonderful being so young and not having any of those things where you're like, no, I need you to pay me, right? It's enough that they'll teach you and they'll house you and feed you.
Yes, that's very true. That's really, really a big part of it for sure. Also because I knew that, my insurance was still under my parents at that time, everything was really taken care of. It was very naive. Like I said, it was because also then when I got here, I realized that I was not an exception at all. There were international students coming from all around the world to work and learn for her and from several other, riders all around the world. Is the same kind of system. So that was the start. But yeah, the naivety is a great and dangerous thing, but also a great element to help you get started sometimes, especially if
Yeah. Yeah, so tell me about you said you kind of started feeling a type of way once you got on the plane.
definitely, because then I was very unsure about, the horse knowledge that I already had at that time because I came from, Western riding world with like rodeos and cowboys like everybody thinks of them over here. And then I came to
Hmm.
Belgium and I worked for an eventing rider, so totally different style of horsemanship. And I was definitely a bit afraid that I would have to like relearn everything that I already knew, and which of course was not the case because you just combine it and learn more. And also the being far away part, of course, was like I think I realized that more through my parents than I felt for myself at that time because I was very eager to get out of the small town and to, get somewhere else and try in a new place. But once I was there, I started to be a bit like, oh, now there's a 9-hour time change. Now there are other elements that I even didn't realize that I was so nervous about until after you arrived at the next place, of course, the new place.
Yeah, so what was your experience like once you got there? What did you like, first day, what did you see? What was it like?
I think actually started my first few days with my family in Holland to like get a little adjusted to the time change and to see them and know that they were relatively close by. And then I took the train from their place down to Belgium. So that was already like the first hassle of trying to lug around your suitcases in and out of, 4 or 5 different trains. That was the beginning. But there was never a moment thinking like that this is not what I wanted to be doing or that it wouldn't work or something. You just kind of keep going. And then being at the stables was really, of course, eye-opening also because it was crazy hard work. It was really so tough. And there's a whole variety of people and systems. I think at that time she had like 50 some horses there. And, there must have been 6 or 7 other students. And so you're meeting new people and meeting new horses, and everybody has this big system that they're already in. And it was a totally, even though I was in horses before, it was still very, very new to me in all of the ways that they did everything. So that was also an uncomfortable element, but I embraced it all. I loved it, every single second of it. As hard as it was totally what I wanted to be doing. And I was ecstatic to be somewhere else and to be working there and have that chance to learn and to grow as a horse person was essentially my biggest goal beyond just traveling at that point.
So going back a little bit now, your parents were on board, it sounds like. They were never like, you have to go to college after high school.
They were like that.
Yeah.
They were like that before. And then I said that I wanted to go to Belgium, and I told them, I said, okay, I'll just go, for a year, and then I'll come back and go to college. And they were like, all right, you better do that.
Yeah.
So I did not do that. I did not. Oops.
Things change, right? Yeah.
Sorry.
I think if I had like a more, I guess, intact plan like you did, I probably could have gone, because there was a point where at the end of my high school career, I was like, I want to go live abroad, and I want to either teach English or be an au pair or something like that. And my parents like, nope, you got to go to college. And I was like, well, if I'm going to college, I'm leaving this town. But like, it was never like, I was like, okay, I just kind of accepted it. I was like, okay, they said I have to go to college. I have to go to college.
Yeah. No, maybe my parents were more open to it. I think they were equally excited for me, and even as the plans continued to change, that I stayed here, and then came back. And then now that I live here even more, they continue to always be very, very supportive of it. As much as they would love to have me there, they're also, I know that they enjoy that they have a European vacation destination at all times.
Yeah. Now my parents are excited for that. I've traveled quite a bit since that, but my parents had never really traveled, so I don't think that there was really much support there. I don't even know if my parents. I don't know if they had passports. I know that they went to like Puerto Rico for their wedding, but you don't need a passport for that. So to be honest, I don't even know if they had a passport. So.
You inspired them. Good job.
Yeah. Now they've done some traveling since. So you said that you were there for a year, right? Or how long did you end up staying there with that horse rider and the whole team?
I stayed with her for a year, and then and while I was there, then I came across several other opportunities to work for other riders, because I realized that the world was much bigger also than just my little town and then her place. So I went with her to the World Equestrian Games, in which were in the States in 2010, and that was really a fantastic opportunity also. And then also while I was there, I had the opportunity to meet new riders and lots of job offers. Once you get going and once you're in it, and if you just work hard, you can always find more places and more opportunities for sure. So after that first place, I had met another rider, and I went and worked for her also for several years. And that was just, it was just the next step, the next fit. Then I had learned something, and I realized that would be a better fit for my plan and what I wanted to do. And that was also really great. So I was also a few years back and forth there. I cannot say the exact time of anything anymore. It's all flowed together.
Yeah, I know, right? Over 10 years, right?
In total, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
in total, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned before we got on the phone that the visa thing was kind of, an interesting scenario. How did you end up going about that?
Yeah, that was pretty tricky for a long time. Initially, I didn't even know the rules. Of course, after I had been in Belgium for too long and I tried to make a trip back home, they stopped me at customs and said, like, you know that you can only be here for 90 days within a 180-day period, which of course I have no idea. And I was way beyond all those days. They were like, you shouldn't come back for a while. So, of course, I said,
Oh
okay.
my God.
But then I just kept coming.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was kind of like, I don't know if I should admit this, but like, that you just kind of went back and forth without really following those rules. It was a shame that that was so difficult, but it's very hard sometimes in some places to get a visa if you're not, I'm not officially a student, I'm not officially working, I'm still doing a bit the traveling, bouncing around game. So that was hard. But I did later actually get a visa as an au pair. I found a family
Hmm.
who had horses, and the father in the family is a vet, and he's still a great friend to this day. So that was a wonderful opportunity to be able to like, okay, we can make this legal now, and I can combine, okay, a different type of work with the kids, and then also with the horses, and that was a lucky find. But yeah, the visas were tricky. I was a slow learner on that one.
I'm sure because you were so young that they were probably like easy on you the first time around.
Yeah.
I feel like if I go there at 27 years old and I stay there for like 8 months, they're gonna be like, okay, like you're an idiot, you know?
As long as you just stay put and don't move around too much, it's no problem. But of course, every time you have to cross, somewhere that has a border zone, then you're in trouble. But if you're going back to the States, they mostly don't care because they're like, okay, get out, go back home and stay there. So that's an easy way.
So how long did it take you before you came back the next time? Was it a long time? Was it a year before you came back again? Or were you like, I'm gonna come right back?
No, I did actually. I think I got pretty sick after a few months, like during the winter. Uh, so I decided to come back home. I think I was there in August, and then I came back in January. So it was a few
Hmm.
months, and I was just supposed to be there for 2 weeks, but because of the little visa scare at the border, I think I stayed for a month, and then I came back, and then it was 6 months again, something like that, before I came back for, I think I was there then again for a few months, and then back for the World Equestrian Games, and then there was somewhere, a few times that I think we like the longest stretch was 15 months in between coming home.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was pretty long. That was maybe a bit too long.
And they didn't like flag your passport or stop you again when you entered again or nothing.
No, no. The strangest thing was they were almost more strict when I would leave rather than when I would arrive,
Yeah.
which was always a little bit didn't really make sense to me because I thought, why are you mad that I was here for too long if I'm going home? But the moment that I came back 2 weeks later, they were like, oh, welcome to Europe.
And yeah, they're not looking at your past history and like,
I
what
guess.
what are you doing here? Yeah. And
Yeah.
did you enter into Belgium each time, or did you like come back into different areas?
I fly in and out of Amsterdam, sometimes Belgium, or Brussels in Belgium, and then sometimes Paris, or there's lots of options close by. I think
Hmm.
also did London one time to also like bypass the typical trip, like, because it's not far either. Yeah, I did that more than once. So
I hear that a lot though. Well, not a lot, but I've heard it a handful of times so far that even with countries that have a law or whatever they say you can't be there for more than 90 days, even like a simple trip to somewhere for like a week and then back resets it. I mean, I know that in Europe it says, yeah, 180, or like you can't be here for more than 180 days out of a year or something, or is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, 90 days within a 180-day period.
Yeah. So, Andrew and I we have been looking at all the ways that we can do it like legitimately. But it sounds like that there might be some options illegitimately as well.
Don't take travel advice from me.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm legal now. I
so
have a real residency in Belgium now. Thank
yeah,
goodness.
tell us about that. Is it just because you've been there for so long, or how did you end up getting your residency?
The residency that I have now is because I am together with my boyfriend. We have they call it a living together arrangement. So it's not
Uh-huh.
fiance visa, I guess. I guess that's also a thing that you can do. But yeah, ours is a living together visa, which is still valid until next year. So
Yeah, how long is that valid for?
5 years. 5 years.
Wow, that seems really cool. Living together arrangement. So did you have to like have proof of anything? Like, do people come by the house? I don't know.
Sometimes they do. Also, when I was an au pair, they came by and did a check one time too, and they do it partially for like your own safety in that situation because they wanted to make sure, like, that I had a heater in my room, and which was a little bit silly, but and I guess to make sure that you're actually there. But for this one,
Mhm.
I think that they only check, um, that we're like our addresses are listed at the same place, and that's kind of the biggest thing. Yeah, that they weren't that suspicious of us or something. I think they realized that we are actually together, and maybe they left it at that. Maybe for other people, they're a little more cautious, I guess, if somebody's
Mhm.
used the system. But no, wasn't too stressful, wasn't too difficult, luckily.
Was there like paperwork that you had to like fill out or like relationship, how you guys met, blah 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 blah, like that kind of stuff?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Just tons of papers of like, between your birth certificate and filing this document and that document and that document, but no like questions, no, relationship tests, like if we're actually together or if you actually love each other or something. That definitely did not happen.
Wow, that's so interesting. I never heard of that before. So now I'm curious. I'm like, honey, we should just get a divorce real quick, find somebody in Belgium. We'll both go over there. We'll just all live together. It'll be great.
It'll be just fine. Don't worry. Got it all planned out.
So if you guys wanted to like live, say, in Spain or something like that, or like to a different place, could you do it?
I think once you're over here, and as long as you're within the Schengen countries of the EU, I think it's relatively easy to live within those various countries for sure. Um, we haven't done it or tried it, but I imagine that I think it's much more possible in that way because you're already, resident of the EU in its entirety. So then
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty open and flexible like that, which is very handy.
So you can technically work in those countries that share that agreement.
I don't know if I could because my residency card is a little bit different. Um, but I imagine like for other people that it's because it's very typical, like in some companies, here in Belgium, like where we live, we're very close to the French border. So a lot of companies have French people that work for them and vice versa, that people live in Belgium, but they work in France. So I imagine
Hmm.
it's pretty compatible, luckily.
So your resident card, does it not allow you to work, or you can work there in Belgium, just not sure about anywhere else?
Yeah, I can for sure work in Belgium, but I'm not sure about other countries.
I just kind of want to Google it. I'm going to Google it later just because I'm curious. But I mean, not that it's going to work for me, but maybe some other single person.
Right. Maybe you have to find somewhere that allows like, 3-person marriages or something.
Yeah, that would be great. Probably not anywhere that I want to go.
Oh. Darn it.
Yeah. So, um, so what has been your favorite experience abroad? Why didn't you go to other countries, or have you gone to other countries? Have you thought about living other places?
Oh
I know
man.
there's a lot of questions though, so just pick one.
Okay. I love new places. I don't have any like grand desire to stay only in Belgium at all. We're more fixed here now, more for my boyfriends. And the horses, they don't fit in suitcases very well. But I love to go everywhere, basically. I would easily live in lots of other places. It's hard to say that I would really have a favorite. Oh man, that's way too tough. I could never choose one place. And I'm also not somebody really who travels back very often to like the same place, I guess, which is a little bit silly because obviously I did that with Belgium. But if I can travel somewhere, I would always try to choose somewhere new. My trip in Central America was also really special because it was totally, there was nothing, there were no horses, and it was a very different type of traveling. I enjoyed that a lot. I can easily also live the beach bum lifestyle.
What was that trip like? Was that a long trip, short trip, by yourself, with people?
Sorry. I went with a girlfriend from my hometown, and we were both just home for a while. She also had a grand desire to travel. I think she had been there before a little bit and she wanted to go back for a longer trip. So we just decided like, hey, why not? We're both here together. Like, let's go and find out how well we can get along after 5 months. And we had a blast. It was the greatest time of my life, for sure. We had so much fun. We started in Belize. We went through Guatemala. We stayed a few months in Honduras. We worked at a school and an orphanage for a month in Honduras. We rented an apartment on an island of Utila for a month and learned to scuba dive. And then we went on to Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and it was fantastic. We didn't really have that much of a plan. We had a few places that we said like, oh, for sure we want to get there, and the rest, once you start traveling, you meet other travelers and they tell you, oh, we went to this place or we went to that place, or the locals tell you where you should go, or, just when you're in the area, you're finally like, oh, hey, I'm in, X country. Why don't we finally start to learn something about this country? And then you improvise along the way. And that was fantastic. It was so great, just with the backpack, and some of it was terrifying. Most of it was wonderful.
Terrifying, because I was thinking, oh wow, Honduras, Guatemala, like some of these places sound a bit dangerous.
Yes, they could be. We never had any like really bad experiences, but we had a few times that we're like, oh shoot, we can't find anywhere to sleep tonight. We don't have a hotel. We don't have anything. And I remember one time somebody invited us to sleep in their house. They saw us wandering around the street forever and ever, thinking like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? There's no more buses. We can't go to the next town. Like, we're going to be sleeping on the beach. And she invited us. She had a room with a bed above her garage, and it was tiny. And we didn't really have a choice but to take it. And luckily it all worked out just fine.
Wow, that's so amazing. I love those stories. And I think it happens a lot with travelers, especially backpacking, maybe with minimal amount of money or no plan. Things like that happen. But I think those times are very eye-opening, and they make you realize, wow, how wonderful people are, that they don't know you and they'll invite you into their home, or they'll feed you or whatever. They'll give you a ride. Oh, amazing.
Absolutely. That happens all the time, which is really fun. It's what makes it great also.
Was that trip a 6-month trip then? I'm kind of just trying to do the math.
Yeah, I think it was 5 months or something. I don't even remember. It wasn't long enough, is all I know. It should have been longer.
So what determined how long you guys were gonna stay?
I don't remember why we chose that amount of time. I don't know if it was like we have X amount of dollars and we assume that this will last us that amount of time, or if when we bought our ticket, we said already, I think we had already bought our return tickets, and then we just were like, okay, do we pay the fee to change them, or do we just keep them and come back? I think that's what it was. And then I think also maybe she had, or we both had like jobs lined up also in Washington when we came back. That's also could be why it ended so, when it did.
You had what in Washington?
Jobs. I think we probably had some work.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, so why go back to Belgium so many times? I mean, you said that all over the world, you said that there, people do this sort of work. Why go back to Belgium? Why not go to another place?
That's a really good question. I ask myself that all the time.
Fate.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe also like a loyalty. And it was a great thing. I knew a lot of people here. I'd already established myself. And then, of course, I also was working for my now boyfriend at the time. And I tried to leave his place a few times, and he kept not letting me, which I didn't understand why at the time. I thought like, oh, why do you keep offering to, pay me more or to like do these other things more? And now I know why, but.
Oh my gosh, this interview is going to turn into a love story. Let's hear it.
I guess that's the real reason, right, that I ended up staying in Belgium all the time is speak of the devil. He's walking outside.
So you ended up finding him. So you went like a year with somebody, a couple years with somebody else, went to an au pair and then found him?
Yeah, somewhere in all that mixing up order. It's difficult. I can't even remember which order it happened in anymore. It was a lot of back and forth and a lot of up and down, and somewhere I think I had also even like worked for him, and then I worked for somebody else, and then again for him, and now I don't work for him anymore.
Yeah, working for your partner is a bit weird. It's more like working with your partner.
Yeah, now it's working with, exactly.
Yeah. It's not like he's like, okay, now I'm paying you, go clean up the stables.
No, it doesn't work like that anymore. Definitely not. No, now it's fun because we can, grow something together. His sole business is not in the horses, so it's more a hobby for him, and then it's something that we can, yeah, do together now. Decide how we want to make it grow.
So what's the plan? What is your guys' plan? You mentioned a couple things offline, but here and now, what's the plan?
Now we bought a farm 3 years ago. We've been here almost 3 years now. It's a really great place. It has like super fantastic accommodation for the horses and everything, and lots of opportunity for growth. It needs its fair amount of work, but it's also plenty functional already. So that was a big jump, big work for sure. So he's making faces at me outside because I'm looking out at our arena from here. But I don't want to do horses full time anymore either. After all those years and all that time working for other people, I really felt the struggles and the challenges of it also. And I was just ready for something new. So I studied online and got my bachelor's degree. I finished last year. And then now I'm in another program to get my PhD, my doctorate in natural medicine. And that's my goal, to like also have something else that is a bit my own thing. That's something that I can also hopefully use wherever that we go. Because at the beginning I thought, okay, I need to find a job, in Belgium, and what can I do here? But that was difficult. It's difficult to find something that you really like and can take pride in. And, the language still wasn't good enough. That was hard, but I knew I didn't want to stay in the horses anymore. So I thought like school was my best option. And it was great. Like, online learning is fantastic. You can totally travel the world and study all that you want. It is so possible. I took books with me everywhere. It was great. I still do it. I still take my books and I just travel and study, all along the road. So that's my goal now, that I thought if I could do something in medicine and health, that's something that can be used in any country, whether or not we stay in Belgium, if we go somewhere else, if we go back to the States, that I can, try to be a little bit more independent also and not so dependent on the horses anymore. Yeah, that's kind of our plan, I guess. Grow something here. Wim, my boyfriend, is really into breeding horses, so we've got a few babies and some sport horses, and mostly just try to enjoy it is the most important now too, that we don't work, but that we can enjoy our time with them for sure.
Wow. I know that you say going online is easy, but it totally takes self-discipline. I'm definitely one of those people that love to learn online too. And I definitely made a point to make most of my classes in university online because I hated going into class. But so many people have struggles with it, and especially now with COVID, so many people are just doing so bad. So you definitely got to give yourself credit for getting degrees online and a PhD online. How does that work? I mean, I know that a PhD, you're probably doing a lot of research and stuff like that, I imagine, and it can be, but it just sounds like PhDs just always sound like so much work.
Right. I think so too. Once I get to that point, I'll let you know.
Oh, I thought you were doing.
I'm in the program now for it, but I'm still in the master's section of it, so I haven't gotten into the PhD portion just yet. But it's all planned in part of that program. I'm a little nervous for it too, but it's a school that is known for hosting a lot of online students, and there's a really large international community also of the students, which is helpful to know know that you're not alone, and it's okay to feel awkward and struggle or have a study buddy that's also still in another country. But it is hard. That's true. I did say that it was easy, but it's also really hard.
Yeah. That's okay. I think there's things that are easy and things that are difficult in most things.
Absolutely.
So for people that are interested in horses, I'm just going to be specific because it's very specific, your experience. I know, I mean, I'll open it up to more broad, but for people that are interested in horses and working abroad, do you have any tips for them?
Learn all that you can, all the time. Like everywhere that you go, you can, there are tons of riders who are open to accepting students all the time. So learning is very, very acquirable, and you just need to go do it. And you have to be willing to put in the time. And then you don't have to be afraid if you don't feel like you fit in with a certain type of, rider or training style or something. There are tons and tons of horse people and styles and disciplines all over that you can definitely, you're not, just because one doesn't work out doesn't mean the next one won't. But definitely take the opportunities for sure. You have to go for them, and you have to be willing to work hard. In the horse world, people work really, really hard. It's definitely, it's not something that you can sit back and just watch. You have to be willing to get in and, do the hours, do the time, lots of blood, sweat, and tears. Maybe you should pick a different sport.
Just forget about it. Just don't do it.
It's really tough.
So if you don't have thick skin, think about being an au pair or something. Unless maybe you tell me, because I haven't been an au pair. Maybe you need thick skin for that as well.
Maybe. I suppose it depends on your family. Pick a good family, and then you're no, it's very rewarding, but you just have to be willing to work hard. But I think that's something that I really learned coming to Europe, was actually how to get a bit thicker skin, because people here tend to be a bit more like upfront and blunt, they don't feel the need to say nice things if they don't mean them. And that's really helpful, actually. It's clear and easy, and it's hard, but yeah. I'm not sure where I'm going.
So people say what they mean. People say what they mean there.
Yes. I think so. They seem to.
Okay, so if you want thicker skin, go abroad. If you don't have it yet, but you want it, you can go abroad.
Exactly. You'll get some. Travel around, be awkward, be lost, learn new things, meet all types of new people, and you will definitely toughen up a little bit. You have no choice.
Yeah. So for just anybody that wants to travel and live abroad or work abroad, what other options have you seen? I guess we're going more general. If people aren't necessarily into horses, but maybe they're interested in Belgium or Holland or something like that, what other options have you seen?
I think it all just depends on what your abilities are and what you want to do. If you just want to live over here and find a job, you can for sure find, something anywhere. You can find something on a farm or in a restaurant or, cleaning houses. For sure, there's lots of options. If you want to be a little bit more specific, then you have to, of course, evaluate like your language skills, and you have to have also some other skills to offer that a local person doesn't. So if you can pick up on some language is really helpful. That's a good thing, especially in the workplace. Like in your day-to-day life, everybody speaks English, and that's so you can, get by. But if you want to work and like really function within a group in the society, then being able to learn a language is really helpful. But I wouldn't be able to say very easily like a specific job that someone should come over here and go for. I wouldn't know. I'm sorry, I'm not very helpful there.
No, I just didn't know maybe if you had other foreign friends that were living there and working there and that had different jobs than you sometimes.
Yeah. I have
People
some that work in a shop. I have another, I have one Russian friend who works in a clothing store, a home store, and then another Russian friend who works for the postal service. And then I had another American friend who was, cleaning in a hospital. And then I think like my family member who's living in Spain, she works in a hotel, like a very nice resort there. She works for the concierge because she speaks very good English and also Spanish. And yeah, lots of possibilities all over the place. It can be anything.
And I imagine some of these are with residency and some of them are under the table.
I suppose that's possible. Yeah. I think most of those ones, like working in the store or for an official business, like the Post or something, of course, then you have to have a residency. But, if you want to work on a farm or do something else, then I suppose it's possible to find little types of odds and jobs everywhere.
Well, before we end, Jori, are there any other things of any other experience that you feel like you'd like to share that you think people looking to live and work abroad might find useful?
Oh man, that's really tough. I think just for traveling in general, I'll say it that way rather than like working somewhere, because I don't have much work experience myself either outside of with the horses. But I think to travel and to start somewhere new, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to really get used to being uncomfortable. That, that it's awkward. You're not going to understand. You're going to, especially with the language, sometimes you feel a little bit like the dumb person in the room because you're not able to contribute to the conversation, and you just have to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and it's actually a great thing. It's a wonderful, like, what's that quote, life begins at the end of your comfort zone, and it really does, because you to finally try a new skill or to learn different ways to communicate without using words. And I think that's really helpful in traveling. And then I imagine finding work abroad, like, just get used to being uncomfortable, and it's okay, and learn to embrace it. And definitely it's part of the adventure for sure.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's a great point. I think being uncomfortable is where growth happens, whether that's in your career, in your health, in your relationships. Oh, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate you coming and speaking on your experience today. I think there'll be definitely people that'll be interested in hearing it. So I appreciate you for being here. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Come visit me in Belgium anytime.
Yeah, girl, I'm coming to Spain. I'm going to stop in Belgium.
Yeah, it's real close by. Real close by.
All right. Well, until then, take care and we'll stay in touch.
Right. Thank you.